For now, I just wanted to do a video on Borderlands 2 and the effect that it's had on me, but then also just some of my thoughts on it. So I thought it might be fun just to sit down and play through it, and just give you some of my reactions. Borderlands 2 is one of these games that I'll play through about once a year. I played about, I don't know, untold number of times through some of the New Game Plus and getting my characters to max level, but haven't touched it in a while. I struggle to remember where I started. I imagine I started with Axton for the first playthrough. Salvador's also a classic, but I think for old time's sake, I haven't played him in a while. We'll select something a little doable, something classic, and we'll red right hand, perfect. We'll name him just like there we go. I first picked up Borderlands 2 when I was in early high school. It was one of those kind of first M-rated games I played on my laptop. I got it on a Steam sale. Saw it was really popular. I may have played the first one and just picked up the second one because, had a good time with the first one and wanted to try it out. At one point I thought about speedrunning Borderlands 2. I thought it might be fun. Just as another way to enjoy a game that has long lost its shiny coat, but I watched one kind of speed run of it, and it was just depressing. They were pre-firing all the spawn points for the enemies. They knew exactly where everyone was going to be. It was just not interesting to me. So I've stuck with just doing regular playthroughs. I started playing lots of PC games around this point of my life in middle and high school. I was really struggling in school. It was about freshman year, and I, didn't care. I felt like every day I went to school, my teachers lied to me. They would say things that were clearly contradictory just to, lie to themselves, or, I was tired, I was disillusioned, and I really didn't care to, ever deal with people who, weren't going to tell me the truth. So why would I give them the time of day either? So, school really fell to the wayside. I spent most nights just playing video games until way too late. I had just moved the year before to a new school. I was in a new middle school, just transitioned to high school, and it was difficult. I made some friends. They were fine, but they were also just, I don't know. They were tough. I don't think cared too much about me. I was kind of just there to get invited along to things, but I also saw the way they treated other people sometimes, the way they excluded some of our other friends, how it all kind of broke down. I felt like often I was alone, kind of second class. So, I had to find, you know, something like meaning in another place. Found that in video games. I played Borderlands 2, up there with, you know, Skyrim and Fallout New Vegas, just kind of pure escapism. Wanted to get away from, you know, all the noise and all the lies and everyone. I remember distinctly there were a few moments where I had friends who were poking jokes that I was playing video games during holidays. I had a loving family. I still do. They're amazing. But I don't know, I've struggled with feeling alone. And video games were an escape, and I didn't handle it very well. I kind of shouted at my friend over Steam who had messaged me. It was just kind of like, you know, who are you to tell me that I should be spending time with my family? He was just kind of being like, what are you, a shut-in? You're playing video games during Christmas? And just like, I wasn't having it. Oh, did not get very lucky, huh? Okay. Oh. Okay. So, I was really struggling. I remember it was particularly bad in, you know, math classes and history class. Both subjects I love. It's just I did not find any enjoyment in them anymore. I don't know what was going on completely, but it was miserable. I was assigned to work on writing a paper about Catcher in the Rye. And I remember reading Catcher in the Rye. It was like one of the only books I actually ended up reading that year. I remember reading. And I remember relating to it a lot, which can tell you a little bit about my mental state then, that I fell in love with Catcher in the Rye. It's this kid who doesn't feel understood and feels like he's on the outside, and he just wants somebody to listen to him. And I remember being asked to write this, and I was like, I don't know if this was justification for the whole thing, but I just didn't get it. I was like, do you not understand? Like, to write this paper about Catcher in the Rye is an admission of defeat to me. It was to say that I didn't understand the book. In my head, if somebody really understood Catcher in the Rye, they would not have written that paper. I don't know if that was some sort of defense mechanism or something, but that's what I thought. And so I never ended up writing that paper. I just, you know, lied. I had a very loose relationship with the truth, and I felt like if everybody lied to me, then what's the problem with lying to them? So I would lie to everyone about it. I lied to my teacher, said I turned it in, something was weird. To my parents. I ended up basically failing in class. My parents got mad at me, and they would be like, why aren't you doing anything? I don't know, I wanted to disconnect. I didn't want to be a part of this. I just wanted to be left alone to play Borderlands 2 by myself. Never really played online, except with my friend Henry. Otherwise, I was just kind of, you know, just replaying it sometimes alone. Early on I didn't play it too much. Just one early encounter with the game that was just so impactful that I ended up just sticking with it for, you know, for a good portion of my life. Oh my gosh, why are you not hitting? Borderlands 3 kind of filled that void for a while, and then, I don't know, I couldn't do it. Something about just coming back that's really nostalgic. The lack of all the kind of fancy mechanics. I used to actually really enjoy Claptrap as a character. I don't know. My kind of simple, somewhat depressed mind was able to just kind of enjoy the character. Hammerlock was this, I don't know, strange kind of man. But you don't really get any connections early on too close with any characters. They're kind of just all there. We don't get introduced to the main cast for a little bit. I don't know if I'm gonna go over there, but there's like that whole area back there. There's like a big boss that rides on the back of a bullymong. I remember that's the first place I ever got a legendary weapon. It was this rifle that shot rockets and like Merv grenades. I remember it carried me through like half of a playthrough. It's actually playing with my friends. I guess I did play with some friends more than I remember. I played with my friend Will and Jonathan. Yeah, that was back in the day. I remember Jonathan, I felt bad. The first time I ever went to his house was to buy his PlayStation 4. My friend Will was going to buy it from him, but didn't end up going through, and so I ended up buying his PlayStation 4 instead. And I said, yeah, we'll definitely hang out and play games, but I didn't have a great computer at the time, and I really wanted to play Fallout 4, and so I did that. I just played Fallout 4. I really didn't do anything else with my time. I remember when I first played Fallout 4, I remember one lie I told, and I still kind of disappointed in myself. I told my friend Jonathan about how good Fallout 4 was. He had a PC, so he didn't really need the PS4, but he asked if if it let you kill all the characters, you know, like if it let you just kind of choose whatever path you wanted, like if it was a good game like the like the other Fallout games were. I told him, yeah, no, definitely has all that stuff. It's the biggest lie. I don't even know. Like, I was just so like, I want somebody else to be able to enjoy this, so I'm like, whatever it will take for me to say that, like, say for you to come along and play this game too. Yeah, I'm a little ashamed. I'm actually extremely ashamed of who I was back then, but I had to go through the long journey of coming to terms with that person. Oh, yeah. Remember, this is probably where I died the first time I ever played this game. These three guys are just so tanky. I don't really have anybody to, you know, say sorry to. It's just... it's just kind of there. I haven't talked to Jonathan in a long time. Don't think I've talked to him since, you know, my graduation from high school. It was about, 5 years ago. Who knows if he even remembers me, to be honest. And stuff like that. It's just kind of, sad. I haven't really kept in contact with any of those people. I've never been great at, keeping up. Consistently, I've been the kind of person to, try to keep up with people around me, but yeah, as soon as people are gone, I have trouble. I've tried to be that person that keeps us all together. That was a big thing during COVID. All my friends from college, and they all go home and they're doing their thing, and I'm doing my best to just keep up connections and to be kind of, I don't know, person to hold the group together. But that was really difficult. It worked a little bit, but it was difficult, especially because it felt like I was the one holding the group together. I don't know, why I told myself was that people would be better off if I wasn't there, that I was just doing it for myself, and so no one else needed it. I don't think that's true, but that's how it felt. So that was tough. I imagine some other people probably felt a similar way, but I don't know. People don't talk about it too much. They just kind of let it drift. Man, I can remember all these early deaths of mine. There's one right to these guys, obviously. First time encountering these type of enemies, and you don't know what's coming. It's just, pretty cheesy death. I was hoping for some ammo, but do these guys. Oh. I played it on mute back in the day. I loved all the dialogue and the funny stuff. I've come though to absolutely despise it all. I spent so much time just like doing all that stuff. I've gotten so sick of all of Claptrap's dialogue because I've just listened to it like 10 billion times. Ooh. I was hoping I would get out of the way fast enough, but I'm not used to having something that's not overpowered at this point. Or going this early, to be honest. Ooh, I missed like every shot. Ah. Oh, so what was I saying? I've listened to so many kind of podcasts and like things through this area. I've these kind of latent memories of pieces of conversations and things just tied to the very environment that that's right here. It was man, it's a long time ago. Oh, I'm out of grenades. Crap. Remember, can I? That's nice. I forgot you could claim it. It's been forever. Oh, okay. I have a bad habit of reloading. It's especially doesn't go well when you're playing like a gauge playthrough. Throughout high school, there's a lot of change going on in my life. Just in the way I was seeing the world. Early on, I spent a lot of time just so kind of done with everything. I just kind of wanted to disconnect. Any YouTube I like watched or movies, it's all out of escape. It wasn't really to grow at all. And so, you know, that very much reflects the way I lived. Like I said before, I don't think I remember a lot of it. A lot of it was just kind of being in survival mode. By no means did I have like a hard life. I feel a little kind of silly for even talking about it this way, but it was not a fun time. I remember towards the end of end of high school, just people would walk up to me. They were saying stuff like, "Oh, like, so glad to have got to know you. You know, I'm proud of you." And I'd just be confused. I'm like, I never talked to you. Like, I don't even know you. How do you know me? Like, I'm the kid who's sitting in the corner watching everyone. Like, I know what's going on. And I know because I'm seeing it, but who in the world is, like, you know, paying attention to me? So that confused me a little bit. And I think I'm still a little confused about that. By the end of high school, I was a lot better. I had kind of gotten myself in order. I knew what I was about. I'd started kind of I don't know, like a natural progression of things. I think people go from being really nihilistic and apathetic to the world, and they become a little bit more political. That was very much my story. Digging my heels deep into kind of a political framework to define everything. Something that could be actually livable. Something to fight for that's worth fighting for. Pretty soon I found that was, you know, that again I started to lie to myself. That I would lie to make a point. I was like, you know, if I have to lie to make a point, I don't think this is the right way to go. So I'm happy I didn't stick with that. Pretty soon I abandoned politics as a meaning maker, and I moved on from there. I ended up going more towards philosophy and religion, exploring that side of things. And you know, it did me good. It gave me foundations, whether or not they were right. It just gave me something to connect with, to look forward to, and so I'm very happy that I had that influence on my life. As with everyone, it evolves. It looks different than it did when you're younger, as it should. No one should be the same person their entire lives. As you learn new things, that should change who you are. And that definitely was true for me. I grew up. But I'm still kind of proud of myself back then, and I sometimes look back then and even see how hungry I was, and I miss that a little bit. I miss being hungry for answers in the same way, and I wonder if I become too satisfied. I remember just having the most fun writing papers. Like, I was, by the end of high school, I was writing these philosophy papers for class, and it was something I actually looked forward to. Of course, I played video games and did my stuff, but I had so much fun, you know, writing about, you know, rationalism and you know, Taoism, and why my teachers were wrong. I think early on in college and late in high school, that was a joy of mine, is that the discovery that like teachers actually wanted to hear them be called out, almost like they lied to us so that they could see who was paying attention. That's been true of every philosophy class I've ever had. That if you express an opinion that's different and you're well thought through, they love you. And maybe I've just been lucky with professors, but if you just expose your interest and your curiosity to them, they will feed off of that. That is like gold to them. Otherwise, you're just like, you know, another student who, oh crap, who's just kind of there for the credit and doesn't really care. And so, yeah, just giving that to them. Like, find out what your teachers are looking for, and like, not like a sycophant, but like give it to them as in, like, be a good student. Find what makes that thing interesting to you. Right? Like, that was a discovery of mine, is that everything in the right context is interesting. You just have to kind of investigate it and dig into it. Even in the pure fact that somebody finds interest in this is part of what makes it interesting. Now, I don't care for people making things more important than that ought to be. That's an entirely different thing. I've struggled with a lot of professors who will do that. who will point out a single topic and they say that, you know, if we just understood this, we could understand the world. There's very few subjects that can even claim something that big. Strangely enough, economics has been one of those for me. Professors constantly being like, actually, a professor, I'll be honest, a professor has done that. And he said that, and it was just very, you know, unconvincing. Obviously, there's more to the world than economics. It's just funny hearing a capitalist say something like that. Is saying the Marxist kind of statements being echoed by a capitalist. It was a very, very odd experience, but you know, that's what happens in college. So, kind of seeing where all that ends, you can kind of see where this game kind of slotted in for me. It was kind of a stepping stone in, you know, a place I needed to rest in for a while in between journeys. It was home, really. That might be the best way of putting it. Video games were a home for me. I tried playing multiplayer games. I think a lot of people have found that. I've found that you need friends for multiplayer games to be fun more. And I've had a few friends who have been lucky enough to just get to know and to be around and to play games with, but there's nothing that just kind of has beaten the single player feeling for me of being able just to go back into both retreat, but then also to just interact with something personally. Too often when I'm playing with friends, it's not serious. It becomes like a big joke. There's something to it, right? Of being able to kind of seriously, you know, take on these problems and to deal with a dark story and to connect with the artist who made the piece. Now, maybe we can talk about some of the problems with Borderlands 2. I've had enough time with Borderlands to know all the flaws in and out, the subpar writing, kind of obvious twists and turns, the few twists and turns that were actually, you know, good are kind of echoes of other ones. Throughout the series, there's a constant need for using character deaths as a form of as an excuse, I guess, to have an emotional moment. The games are just so kind of wacky and silly that they don't quite know how to incorporate some serious tones or make people feel anything, and the only way they know how to do that is through character death. So whenever you'll talk about the most emotional moments in the games, it's always like the same two characters who died, or you know, and I'll at least give them that. They don't ever kind of bring back characters from the dead exactly. They keep them dead for the most part. I mean, Handsome Jack, maybe make the argument that they've tried bringing him back from the dead too many times, but I mean, they've done a relatively good job. But, But yeah. I mean, I can look at almost every character. They also kill off so many characters. I don't think I'm afraid of spoiling anything, because really nobody should play Borderlands for the story, but I'm trying to think. We've met Claptrap, we've met... Yeah, I mean, every character right here. We're talking to Angel, we're talking to Scooter, we're going to meet Roland. Like, all these characters just are dead. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, they all die. And it's just not... Like, it's impactful. I remember just being devastated the first time I played through. I thought that was just brilliant. These characters dying and dealing with that. But I don't know. I can't kind of feel that way anymore. It's very feels very manipulative. The writing is just not at a place where, you know, people feel things naturally. I don't know if you need to be a certain level for this or anything, but I always check, because, you know, who knows, you might get the weapon. He's not here though. Maybe down the hill. So I had a problem with that. DLCs for this game are, you know, worse than the main one. You know, I've never been a fan of the raid bosses. I think raid bosses, for the most part, are just kind of meh. I don't even know how you would kind of address that. It's just not my thing. People love that stuff. The quality of life is kind of poor in certain things, and they fixed a lot of that with the new games. You can now kind of teleport from anywhere for fast travel. You don't have to deal with this extremely slow fast travel system. You have to run across a map to get to a fast travel point, to get somewhere else. This is just much better. And to be honest, Borderlands 2 is not that great of a game. It's no, dang it. It's kind of mid. It's... And maybe this is what I'll say. This game has had more of a profound effect on me than almost any other game I've ever played. Like, just emotionally. It's been there for me, and I'm thankful for it, and I'll replay it out of both respect and just nostalgia. Like, to me, this is more like going home than it is to visit the house I you know, I lived in high school, right? Like, if I had the option, I actively did not go back to that house the last chance I got. Because to me, that wasn't home anymore. My family was moving out. It was a house. I had connection to it, vaguely, but no. If somebody told me that I had one chance to replay Borderlands 2, and it was like gone forever, and I would never be able to play it again, I'd go back. Right? I'd go back in a heartbeat. To me, this is what, you know, carried me through some of those times. This is the game that, when I didn't feel like I had anything, like I had someone there for me. My parents are great, and they are great, but you know, there's only so much your brother can do for you. Sometimes you just feel like you need the approval of someone else. I never felt like I got that. I always felt like anyone who is my friend was doing it out of obligation. I've struggled with that for a long time. But isn't it weird how, you know, the most scripted thing possible, a video game, somehow made me feel cared about? I haven't told it yet, but one of those really dark moments in my life was when I was playing through later in this game. And I just remember it was one line that the Claptrap said. You're reaching towards the end, you're about to fight Handsome Jack, and Claptrap just says something like, "Man, you're badass." That was like the moment for me. Like, I remember I just broke down and cried. Like, I never felt like anybody had said something like that to me before. Like, no one had ever... No teacher. No... Like, nothing anyone had ever said had hit me like that about, like, somebody thinks I can do something. Like, I actually have agency. I'm not a victim. I'm someone, like, who can fight. I think that's part of it too, right? This... This feeling like I was worth something, or I can save someone. I can do something. I never played sports. I did like track, not even track. I did cross country. I never felt like I was the strongest or even close. I felt smart, but I clearly wasn't as smart as I could be. I pretended to be smart. I just knew things. I would, you know, I would just repeat things I've heard. That's not what smart people do. Like, smart people think of things. They don't just repeat knowledge. That's just somebody with, like, a, you know, skill at memory. But video games made me feel like I actually had something to offer. you know, something to give the world. And yeah, I shouldn't have left my car way over there. Where's even the nearest one? I guess we can go that way. Wait, that's the oh, we'll just run. Yeah, I felt like I had agency. I think it's the best way to put it. That no matter what life threw at me, I could be confident in one thing, and that was that I was, you know, I was somewhat strong, or I had something to offer that was worth someone's time. And I know now that, you know, that shouldn't be a video game who does that for you. But in the moment, that's what it was. And it's like I wouldn't devalue that. And I'm sure this turret had an effect on it too. This turret that sits by you this entire game. You know, it's one of those few one of the few characters that has something like in single player that, you know, is going to keep you alive. Okay. Well, that sucks. So I don't know how much this is gonna hit for people. But I hope, you know, if you're not, if you feel alone, that you're not, but you know, at least I've felt the same way. I'm sure others have too, but you know, video games are a good way to experience, you know, a little bit of something for a while. It's not a great permanent solution, but you know, at least it gives you something. It's had a profound effect on me. So, as I'm kind of going into Sanctuary, I think this kind of, I don't know, concludes what I'm thinking about. I think, you know, in a sense, this game has been my sanctuary. And so, as I grow older, I'm kind of losing my connection to it. And so I just kind of wanted to kind of have a, you know, a mini send-off for the time being. I'm sure I'll play this again in the future, and I'll show my kids someday this game, and you know, see the reactions for the first time. But until then, it's just, this is yeah.